This week on App Central.
Find out how this tech entrepreneur made his way into shark-infested waters.
A pair of racing apps that will have you doing laps around the competition in no time.
And meet the smartphone that doesn't need water wings to play by the pool.
Welcome to App Central. We're going to show you a documentary that couldn't have been made if it wasn't for an app. But first, Amber's got an interesting app.
You are going to love this app. I'm very excited to show you. I know you're a big sci-fi fan.
I am.
Now, this is an always-on video portal. Does that excite you or what?
So what you're telling me is that no matter where I am or what I'm doing, people will be able to see me.
Not exactly, but it will always be on if you walk in front of the camera.
Ah, okay.
So this is the catch. It's called Perch, and it's for families, but probably more likely it will be used in business settings for people who are working remotely. So you mount your iPad on the wall, and someone else in another office or home has it mounted on the wall. And as soon as you walk in front of the camera and you press a button, the video portal turns on.
So that's that always-on side of it.
The always on, so you don't have to dial someone up like you would in Skype, for example.
Right. Now, my concern is if this is always on, are they going to be listening to everything I'm doing?
Well, this is the interesting thing. Then it uses facial recognition technology to detect when your eyes are looking at the camera. I know, so you like it, right?
I'm loving this
and,
large.
And then it will turn the microphone on. So it's not until that point, before that point, it's totally muted, so you don't have to worry about people listening into the conversation.
It's very Star Trek-like. So you walk up to this thing mounted on the wall, you look at it, press a button, and then you can interact with the person who's in the other office.
Exactly, and when you walk away, then it mutes itself again.
Ah, but you can still sort of peer into their little world, even if
you
you're
have to
there?
press the button. So they have to, there is that communication where you have to press the button to enable the video conversation. But unlike Skype, where you have to dial them up,
right.
It is always on and much faster.
This would be great, particularly as you point out, for people who telecommute. You might be working in an office environment, but the office might be spread out across the country.
Great for people who telecommute, great for families who are living far away from each other and you want a way to, maybe a grandparent always wants to be able to call up the grandkids, and a really simple way to do it.
Fantastic. I've updated to iOS 7 on my iPhone, but it still has a feature that I'm jealous Android users have, and that's basically a launcher scenario. You don't have to boot up everything on your smartphone in the Android world to get to that app you want to use. However, on the iOS, I've got a really neat app called Push Launcher that does much the same thing.
Okay.
Now, you know when you've got the notification center, you swipe down to see all those email messages you've missed, and maybe a text message, things like that. This puts your favorite apps in that notification center. So even if the phone is locked, you can launch the app you want.
So that's very helpful to get access to all those things that you use on a regular basis, correct?
Exactly. So it skirts around the way the iPhone works in the first place, but the best thing about it is not only do you get quick access to things like cameras and stuff like that, but I've got a grocery list that I need to get access to quickly. It helps me do that.
So you're not always swiping back and forth.
Precisely.
Ooh, I got to try that out. Now let's find out what's on your smartphone.
So the app's name is called Robot Unicorn Attack 2. You just jump and try to avoid obstacles, and you can also dash through like boulders. You can put it on Facebook and kind of compete with your friends for high scores. It's just a very addicting app.
For this week's feature interview, I'm here with James from the Tug of War on Drugs app. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's talk about this app and how it opens up the conversation about the war on drugs.
Sure. So the film addresses sort of a satirical look at how you could rise from street level dealer to kingpin, but through that story it sort of addresses the corruption and ludicrous nature of the war on drugs, and the app really allows some of the questions that are raised in the documentary to be explored by the audience, to engage and answer perspective-based questions, and then to actually affect that conversation ongoing.
So it really is an extension of that conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of the conversation got started in the film, and the idea is that this is an ongoing way for that conversation to be expanded, and then some of the organizations behind the app that worked on it with us are actually enabling that commentary and that perspective to affect change.
Now, I know with a lot of apps, you need to have that sticky factor to get people coming back, especially to get people to engage.
Yeah.
For this app, what do you think that sticky factor is?
I mean, I think to a certain extent the film is a glossy way of addressing that, and there's a lot of celebrities in the film, and those people are involved with the app. There's also a constant flow of information and traffic. The DPA, which is one of the organizations, the Drug Policy Alliance in New York, which is one of the organizations behind the app, is constantly feeding in news articles and those questions that are arising. So there's constant content that comes in and push notifications that alert you to what's happening, and a way of actually affecting that conversation by addressing Congress people and people who can actually affect change.
As you've watched the conversation within the app, what has surprised you as far as maybe the direction the conversation has gone?
I think a lot of the way we view the war on drugs is with individual perspectives on the ethics of drugs, or the drug conversation, as opposed to the larger conversation of whether the format of the war on drugs is effective. And what surprised me is that the amount of people contributing their perspectives are viewing it with a larger perspective, as opposed to just that simplistic moral view. And we're getting a broad range of perspective in the app, which is great, because we were sort of worried that you never know how something is going to actually perform, and we're kind of worried that it would be very polarized, but in fact it's a very, very large spectrum.
And perhaps also people have been trained maybe to be interested in apps like Angry Birds fun, casual, light apps,
Yeah.
so that must have been a challenge too.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to create a very low barrier to entry and low friction within the app, and make it almost feel like a game to participate in very simple interaction. So I think in some ways we've tried to ease the burden of a very newsy, serious app by making it simple, but at the same time we're also getting people's thoughtful answers, which is nice.
And what's the future of the app? Where is it going?
Yeah, well, it's really released as a minimum viable product right now. We wanted to see how people are reacting, so we have a lot of enhancements that we want to do to it, just in terms of adding more topics and subject matter and ways that people can actually affect change through the app.
All right, well, thank you so much. For a link to the app, all you have to do is head on over to our website at appcentral.ca.
Coming up, we take our smartphones along for a full throttle ride around the racetrack. Plus, the app that proves one person's trash is another person's treasure.
That's right, Amber and I are here at Pulse and Pier Go-Kart in Toronto to find out who is the best driver and whose app can nab that pole position.
Go-karting with your friends is an absolute blast, but of course everyone claims to be the best driver. All the go-karts have the same top speed, so it's tough to get ahead when you're stuck at the back of the pack.
And that's why we've got two apps to finally help us settle this debate. Now remember, it's not about where you finish, it's all about your overall time.
My app is called Racetracks. It uses your smartphone's GPS to map out a drawing of your route along the track. It logs each of your lap times along with your top speed. When you're finished the race, you can see an animated replay of each lap along with your change in speed on each turn. My app is pretty awesome, Michael, so this is your last chance to back out if you're getting cold feet.
Me cold feet? Not a chance. Besides, my app is pretty good too. It's called Race Chrono. This app is a thorough statistics tracker for all sorts of races. All you have to do is find your track on the map and create trap points that tell the app where the start and finish lines are. Just hit the start button and the app will log your lap time, your speed, and the time differences between each of your laps for comparison.
To get the best results for both apps, you want to tuck away your smartphone in your pocket.
It definitely goes without saying, but don't look at your smartphone while you're driving.
Michael will have plenty of time to look at his smartphone when he's crying about coming in second place.
Oh, we'll see about that, young lady.
Catch me if you can, Michael! All right. Looks like I crossed the finish line before you, Michael.
I know, but it looks like you won the race, but let's see who had the best lap time.
Pretty sure I have the edge there too, but I do like the race analysis feature that your app has.
That's right, I can take a look at how I performed on certain parts of the track. All I have to do is create new split points on the track and the app will show me my results. You can also see a graph that charts the changes in my speed throughout the course.
Looks like you need a little work on your turns.
I think I do, but I want a rematch one more time around to see who is the best driver.
All right, I am ready, and if you have an app you'd like us to review, let us know at App Central TV on Twitter. Go ahead.
Star Chart is a virtual planetarium in your pocket. Using your Android smartphone or tablet, the screen becomes a window into the known universe. Point your device at the sky and the GPS system tells you exactly what you're looking at. You can even tell what you can't see. Just point the app to the ground and you can see what the sky looks like on the other side of the world. It can even show you where your star sign is. Star Chart listens too. Just tell it where you want to go. The next thing you know, you're there. PixArt Studio has been downloaded by more than 70 million Android users. The free photo editor not only helps you manipulate your shots with effects like stencils, Lomo, and vintage, but you can then take your various images to the next level by creating a collage. Haven't taken any shots yet? PixArt Photo Camera has you covered with the ability to apply live effects to the scene as you shoot. You can also draw with PixArt with sticker mode and callouts and text. Class is in session with Class Dojo. It's designed to help teachers improve student behavior. It captures and generates data on behaviors that teachers can share with parents and administrators. It also provides real-time feedback for students as it synchronizes with the Class Dojo website. The latest update allows classes, students, and behaviors to be updated straight from the teacher's smartphone. Better learning habits, smoother lessons. Parents can view their child's progress via the Class Dojo app too. All the teacher does is provide an invite code.
If you're looking for a fun and free way to get a new wardrobe, Maurice has an app.
And I think this is a good way, Amber, too, of getting rid of clothes that you don't really want anymore. Maybe you got to clear out some space, spring cleaning, give this app a shot.
All right, so how does the app work?
So the app works by you trading unwanted clothing with your friends. And these are friends that you have in your social circles. So you get the app, you take a picture of, I don't know, say a shirt using your phone, and then you upload that to your basket of unwanted goods. On the flip side, you have friends that are also using the app, and if they're going through the groups of things that you have to offer and other friends have to offer, they can bid on these things and they can get dibs on these items of clothing that you have up for grabs.
This is such a good idea because there are so often pieces that you have in your wardrobe that maybe you're tired of, but your friend sees them and they love them. So it's a way to really exchange clothing, not have to buy a lot of new clothing. What about things like sizes? Is it easy to enter all that information?
Yeah, you can add a description, you can add the details, you can also say why you're trying to get rid of something because, you know, oftentimes I sit there and wonder, why are you giving this away for free, you know,
Really?
right?
Really?
Well, I think so, right? So you can say, I got this as a gift, it doesn't fit, it's not my color, it's not my size, and then you put it out there for people
So you
to
have
choose
to
from.
come clean with why you don't want it anymore. Like,
Well, you don't
it's not in
have to,
style
but you know,
anymore.
you got to be a good guy, a good girl, and be honest and forthcoming. But something I also like is that you can put dibs on these things. So say if you have 5 friends that really want it, if one person gets to your place and it turns out they can't fit into it, you know who's the next person in line to get that item afterward.
I love this. To get a link to this app, all you have to do is head on over to our website at appcentral.ca. Still ahead on App Central, we swim into the mind of businessman and TV star Robert Herjavec. Plus, how you can add a soundtrack to your life's most memorable moments. For this week's Celeb eWatch, I'm here with Robert Herjavec. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of people know who you are, but maybe not all of them know exactly what you do and what your business is all about. Can you describe it to us?
Yeah, it's true. Everybody thinks I'm a TV guy, but deep down, for 30 years, I'm one of the top cybersecurity guys in North America.
And when you started your business, you talk about some of the challenges, of course, in your new book, The Will to Win, and I've read every single page. It's absolutely fabulous. Can you talk about some of the challenges you faced?
My gosh, Amber, everything you can imagine in business we did wrong. I'm not very good at learning from somebody else telling me, so we did it all. I mean, every mistake we made, but I think the quality I always had was no matter how hard I got hit, we always got up the next day.
And one of the things you also talk about, which is really interesting, is some people think that you can't be nice and finish first, but in your book you say, hey, you can, and you've really proven that.
It's true. You know, one day on the show I said, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. And I really tried to live by that. I'm a pretty nice guy 98% of the time, and I always tell people our company is not a democracy. It's very much a dictatorship, but a benevolent dictatorship.
I also thought it was interesting when you talked about sharing news within a business and how you won't necessarily share the good news, but you will be the one who shares bad news in the company. Can you talk about why you do that?
Boy, that's a great question. You're right. I think good news makes people feel okay, but bad news heard from somebody outside the company can be devastating. So I've always compensated the other way. If there's bad news out there, I want people to hear it from us.
Now, there's a lot of businesses and people who watch the show on a regular basis who are starting up app development companies, software startups, and who are trying to figure out how they can get ahead. What advice do you have for people who are curious about how they can kind of get to that next level to be able to be super successful?
Find a problem and fix it. I think too many people start, especially app developers, start an app company because they think it's cool. Nobody cares what you think. Nobody cares if it's cool or if it's not cool. People only care if a customer is going to pay for it. Now, I sell in the enterprise world, so for me, every decision starts with, is a company going to pay for this?
And for individuals out there who are also really young, I know we've had people on the show who are living in their mom's basement, they don't necessarily have access to a big network. What can you tell them about getting themselves out there and building their own personal brand?
Well, that's the beauty of today. The beauty of being in business today is the barrier to entry is very low. You have access to the same computing power as I do. So my $100 million company is going to compete with some guy or some lady out of their basement. So that's the good news. The bad news is everybody has that same access. So you got to be different. You got to stand out. You got to put yourself out there.
What about when people are pitching companies to you? Do you have advice as far as how you can create a really great pitch and some of the best you've seen out there?
You got to tell a story. The best pitches start with a story. People never remember what you say. They only remember how you made them feel. And I love that saying. I'm constantly reminding people of that. Because every day your customers are being bombarded with data points. They're not going to remember any of it.
And you write a lot about your own personal story. I was kind of expecting a business book, but there's a lot more in it about your story and some of the challenges you faced as well. So hopefully people get a chance to pick up the book, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
For more about this interview, all you have to do is head on over to our website at appcentral.ca.
Hoarders, take note. There's an app that's out there to really tell you that it's probably time to clean up your own joint in the form of a game. It's called Barn Yarn, and you help Tom go through a dusty old house looking for things to sell so that you can actually fix up the barn next door for the animals for the winter. This little old lady is looking for some letters, and she's willing to pay $31. Hidden somewhere in here are the letters. I think I just found them. And as you tap to find the various items, you get paid. That cash helps you clean up the barn. Oh, a harmonica, a lock. We're looking for something like a pencil here. It's all hidden within the game. As you move along, you collect the coins, and that's what helps you move along. If you need some help, there's a little jar in the corner, and if you fill it full of butterflies, those butterflies will give you hints. It's a great game for the kids or for anyone who realizes it's probably time to clean up the attic. Barn Yarn definitely gets my vote.
My app pick this week is called Rhythm, and this is part of a growing category of apps in the music messaging space. The idea is that you don't just chat with someone when you're sending them a message using this app, but instead you send music, some of your favorite songs that you find online. While you send the music, you can also have a chat conversation, and you can send video or photos and animated cartoons. This is just a fun way that you're able to exchange conversations with another person that is all centered around your favorite tunes. Up next, a pair of headphones so good, serious gamers won't want to take them off. And impress your friends with the Sony smartphones that are making a big splash.
If you enjoy playing video games, but others don't enjoy hearing the explosions going on in your virtual world, then you need headphones. And may I suggest this pair from Creative Sound Blaster. Okay, I know Sound Blaster was a brand we all remember from sound cards back in 1995, but don't write them off. These headphones sound great, producing sound so immersive you'll feel like you're actually living life in your games. The 50mm drivers pound out loud and clear audio, and they also do a good job producing surround sound from just 2 earpieces. And you can change the color of the LED lights. There's an adjustable microphone that helps you talk to other gamers, but the phone piece keeps falling off for me. Battery life is good, but not great. And don't forget, these headphones aren't just for gaming. They'll work great if you're listening to music or making Skype calls. Serious gamers looking for serious sound should give the Sound Blasters here a serious shot.
For
For my gadget pick this week, I have 2 gadgets. These devices are part of the Sony Xperia line. You've probably heard about this line. There are a bunch of great devices. The first one I want to talk about is the Ultra. Now, this is a phablet, a cross between a phone and a tablet. As you can see, it has a beautiful screen, but one of the things I love the most is the fact that, like many in the Xperia line, this is waterproof. So let's check this out here. Dip it in the water, and then when I take it out, it still works just fine. You may not know this, but approximately 20% of people who own smartphones drop them in a toilet at some point. So what's great about this line is, for the most part, they are waterproof. So they will last in water, fresh water, about 1 meter for approximately 30 minutes. Now I want to look at the Z1. Again, a beautiful phone from Sony, also waterproof, but one of the great things about this phone is the camera. It has a 20 megapixel camera. So if you take some shots with this phone, they will look absolutely gorgeous and also waterproof too.
I only run for my life, but apparently a lot of people are interested in their health these days, and that's why the Tink is this really neat gadget for anyone who's got an iPhone. Let me show you how it works. First of all, you plug it into your iPhone, and once you've done that, the little red light glows, and all you do is stick your thumb across it. And what it's doing is it's measuring a few things. Among the things it's measuring is your heart rate, it's measuring the oxygen level in your blood, and your stress level too. And once you've got it all figured out and it's managed to make that recording, you can go into your history and see how it's been performing over the course of the last little while. And that will help you when you are in that active lifestyle mode, making sure that your heart rate gets to where it needs to get to for that exercise regimen that you're involved in. Although I'll probably just see you sitting on the couch as you go running by. But it's a neat gadget.
Taking a look at some top apps from around the world, we begin our journey in France for the app Vectre. In this Tetris-inspired game, you must eliminate rows of bricks by fitting together oddly shaped blocks. Each time you do, there is a chance a special spell block appears that will help propel your score higher. You can play this app solo or battle up to 4 friends online. Next, we travel to Spain to become a cyborg with the iBorg app. This app uses your smartphone's camera to capture colors and convert them into sound frequencies. This lets you create musical scores based on color alone. The idea is to replicate the experience of Neil Harbison, a colorblind man who wears a device that translates light into sound, allowing him to perceive colors. With this app, you can take the first step into becoming a real-life cyborg. Our last destination is Argentina for the app Cube Match. In this game, you must clear a board full of colored cubes. Tap 2 or more adjacent cubes of the same color to explode them. As you progress in levels, more colors are introduced, making it more challenging to clear the board. The rows of cubes build up the longer you take, and you lose the game if the stack reaches the top. Now remember, if you've got an app from around the world you'd like us to check out, tweet us at AppCentralTV.
If you missed any part of the show, you can find us online at appcentral.ca.
And you can friend us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at AppCentralTV.